Right then, it's the big one, a real test for Manchester United this coming Monday, the FA Cup. This one is the one before you go back to Wembley, the quarter-finals. No replays in the quarter-finals this time, for the first time in the competition. So Manchester United, if we want to get through to this, we have to win away at Stamford Bridge. No going to extra time in this, and then it will go to penalties if needed. There's no going back to Old Trafford, which makes this even more difficult for Manchester United. This is the biggest turning of test for Manchester United since we probably played Spurs, which we overcome and won, but that was at Old Trafford. So probably the hardest, certainly the hardest away game since Chelsea battered us 4-0 at the Bridge. Oh, Christ knows when that was. That was a long time ago. Now, we've not lost a lot of games since then. I think we lost one Europa League game and one game in the League Cup second leg in the semi-final. But we haven't really played any decent teams in that run, and we've drawn so many games, which has really disappointed me, because if we hadn't drawn so many games, we would be comfortable in the top four. We wouldn't need to worry about the league anymore, really, because we would never have still been able to catch Chelsea. And we would only then be worrying about the FA Cup and the Europa League. But as it is, we've got to worry about all three competitions, which is really annoying. Chelsea have had ages to prepare for this game, so they're going to be fully refreshed. That can play for or against you, though. I personally would like to keep playing games after game, but obviously if you've had that rest, you'll be energised and you should be raring to go. So, I mean, it helps Southampton in the League Cup final, but it can also play against you. Going into this game, doesn't look like we've really got many injuries. Obviously, the big news, obviously, Zlatan out of this game. So we're going to have to play someone else as centre forward. He's going to go for a real strong team in this game. He's rested a few players for that game away in Russia. With the eye on this game, he knows how important this one is. He wants to get one over his old club after that humiliating defeat 4-0 at Stamford Bridge earlier in the season. He doesn't want a repeat of that to happen. We are, though, in better shape. I think playing a bit better than we were then. We weren't playing quite well, but we are grinding a bit more out results now. We're not scoring as many goals as I would like, though. And obviously Chelsea go into this as favourites, but David De Gea will come back in goal. I'm not too sure who's going to play at left back. Could we see Luke Shaw again at left back in this game? Hopefully we can see him at left back again. Valencia will be at right back. Smalling and Rojo will probably be the centre halves. We will have to wait and see. Or maybe Bay, could come back in actually. Bay and Smalling as the centre halves. And Rojo and Jones will be along the either substitutes or picked against Rostov in the later part of the week. But Smalling and Bay, probably for most people, are our two best centre backs. Phil Jones, full for that goal against Rostov, partly at fault anyway, not the only one at fault, but it was a massive mistake from him in that. But he has played quite well this season, Phil Jones, so I will give him that. Midfield, Pogba, Herrera and Carrick will probably play in the midfield three, I presume. Then Martial and Mata will probably play out in the wide positions, and then maybe I don't know, or we might go with Mkhitaryan out there and just play a two-man midfield and play Mkhitaryan in the number 10. We will have to wait and see, and then it will be probably Rashford as the striker. Whether he goes for a midfield two, we will have to wait and see. But Mkhitaryan did come through that game unscathed, but whether he's got it in him to play again after being out injured with a hamstring injury a couple of days later, I'm not so sure. So we'll have to wait and see. But he could. I personally probably would go for that. Actually, go for the Mkhitaryan in the number 10 position and go for the Pogba, and it'll be Herrera, and then he'll go for Mata and Martial. Probably going to go for that, or he might go for a three-man midfield. We will just have to wait and see. But Mkhitaryan probably does deserve his starting space back in the team. Was decent in that game. Got himself a goal against Rostov, but as I was to say, been out injured. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't on the substitutes. But we will have to wait and see. But Rashford, it's a great chance for him as the leading striker if he is picked as the leading striker. Potentially it could be Wayne Rooney or Martial. Martial failed when he played against Championship opposition in that position in the first half in a previous round. So I thought he was crowded out in there and looked so much better second half when he was put out wide. So we will have to wait and see what he does go. But Rashford's probably the most likely. But Rashford hasn't really been hitting the back of the net a lot recently. Against Championship opposition has been all he's done. Alright, he hasn't had the real impact that obviously he did last year, but he was playing more as the centre forward. Well, all his games as the centre forward last year. This time he has played a lot of games out wide, so I will give him that. But hopefully he can make that position his own. If he could have a really good game and even grab himself a goal in this game, that would really put him in Jose Mourinho's plans to think, hang on a minute, when Zlatan's not fit, not available, we could play him. He might give him more confidence to give him that game time more up front, and maybe rest Zlatan in some games when against opposition that maybe we don't certainly have to go out all guns blazing and get the victory in. Maybe it's a dead rubber next season or whatever, but Chelsea are going to pose a massive threat to Manchester United though in this game. They've got a fantastic squad of players. Obviously they weren't at their best at all last season, they were dreadful. But this season the manager seems to have got the players together and they're performing well. They've got so many different options up front. You know, you're looking at Willian and Pedro. Pedro's banged himself in a lot of goals this season. Willian can produce some goals and he's a decent player for Conte's team. Then you've got obviously Hazard, who is banging goals in and he's a quality player. I wouldn't say he's world class yet, but he's on the cusp of becoming a world class player. And then you've got Diego Costa, who's a very, very good striker, can bully teams and score a lot of goals. So they've got a lot of firepower up there, and defensively they're pretty solid as well. So I think Manchester United are going to really struggle to get anything out of this tie. I think that Chelsea are going to win this game. I'm going to go for a Chelsea winning this game 2-1. I just think they're going to have too much for Manchester United in this game. You never know though, it is the FA Cup. Shocks can happen, and I think it will be a bit of a shock if Manchester United can pull this off. Not just the fact that we've got a lot of games to play, I just think at the moment Chelsea are playing better than Manchester United. They're scoring more goals, they've got more match winners than Manchester United, and we don't seem to have so many match winners when Zlatan is off form. Mkhitaryan has stepped up to the plate a lot more lately, and Mata has stepped up to the plate a bit, but the likes of Rashford and Marshall and Rooney, they're the ones that have really got to start stepping up to the mark when Zlatan has a bad game, because Chelsea seem to have them players. Pedro, as I say, scored into double figures already, and they've already got Hazard and Costa, who are going to get probably 15-20 goals both this season as well. And Manchester United have only got one person even in double figures yet, so and no one else looks like they're probably. I mean, Mata will probably hit double figures in all competitions, but besides that, maybe Mkhitaryan will. But we need someone to be hitting 15-20 goals in all competitions. The amount of games that Manchester United have played this season besides Zlatan, because that is poor. When Manchester United are probably going to play getting on for 60 games, and no one else is going to have hit 20 goals, then I think that is a bit poor, to be honest. You think 60 games, that's a lot of games to play with not hitting that amount of goals, but hopefully we can get something positive out of this and maybe pull off a shock. We will have to wait and see, but I highly doubt it. Anyway, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.